to keep Vinny Jr. quiet and also credit to our centre backs to keep Mbappe quiet. 26 goals and they both had 24 goal contributions. To keep them quiet is from a team that was leaking goals left, right, and centre and come by a clean sheet. That says a lot of how hard they're working and how hard they are trying.
Hello and welcome to a special reactive episode of Inside Liverpool. I'm Anna Smith and today I'm joined by Jermaine Pennant. Last night looked much better. What did you make of the game?
Yeah, I thought it started off great. Carried off from where they left off against Aston Villa. We needed that clean sheet, back to basics kind of a performance and build on that really. And that's what I saw, like the Liverpool of old. Thibaut Courtois again, he's Liverpool's villain. Every time he plays Liverpool, he gets his man and match performances. But yeah, apart from that, I thought, yeah, really, really pleased.
What do you think it is? Do you think it is some of the changes he's made, or do you think it is a combination of things in terms of like McAllister and Salah, etc., finding form? What's the big difference in the last couple of games?
I think it's everything above what you just said, really. I think it's that our key players finding a bit of form, getting back to how they used to play, and understanding how teams are now facing against Liverpool. Yes, we fare better against teams who don't play a low block and go out to actually win the game themselves. But we're not going to play against Real Madrid every single week, Aston Villa every single week. So what I think I'm seeing now is more the let's not be too vulnerable at the back. We either win it at the press at the front, or we ourselves go into maybe a low block and do the counter-attacking football. And that's what Klopp used to do, and that's basically how we kind of won the league last season as well. So I think he's now starting to adapt, play a different style of football at times when need be, and back-to-back 2 clean sheets. It looks like he's figured out the formula.
I liked listening to Slot say that last night after the game about what he'd said to Robertson and Bradley about you're either in a low block or you're fully pushing up. You do not get caught in that mid block because that is where Mbappe, Vinny would be coming right at us.
Well, not only that, but that's how we've been getting hurt majority of the season, with those key players who can attack just in a split second with pace. Bournemouth with Semenyo, Brentford, the list goes on. I think we're seeing the counter-attacking players who are quick in attacking. We're seeing that mid-block not working and they're getting out of it. So when teams are going to play like that and there's a counter-attack possible, let's just either win it at top or get everyone back. Let them press, let them push on, win the ball early, and then we do the counter-attacking.
There were some real stand-up performances, weren't there? First of all, let's talk about Conor Bradley. He just loves playing against Real Madrid, doesn't he?
He loves Real Madrid. Every time players get Real Madrid, he steps up a gear. And to keep Vinny Jr. quiet and also credit to our centre-backs to keep Mbappe quiet. 26 goals and they both had 24 goal contributions. To keep them quiet is from a team that was leaking goals left, right, and centre and come by a clean sheet. That says a lot of how hard they're working and how hard they are trying. But for Conor Bradley, that's got to be a massive boost in confidence going into a massive game at the weekend.
The stat is mad. I think it's the first time in all competitions this season that Real Madrid have failed to find the net at all, which is obviously great. In terms of Conor Bradley, do you think it is... Arne Slot said something in the week again about his injury rate, basically. If he can stay fit, is this the consistency he needs to just keep improving?
Yeah, I think at that young age and he's new to the team, ultimately, since Trent gone, he had a bit of in and out, but now it's about, just playing as much as you can, staying fit and being very consistent. And if he puts in performances like that, then it will be hard to say that he's our first choice at present. Yeah, I think Frank's injured and probably doesn't have the defensive frailties, but has a little bit probably more going forward. Um, but I don't think we need to really worry about that too much. It's about keeping clean sheets and defensive frailties. So if he can continue putting in those performances like he did last night, then at that right back position we're looking good.
The other person I wanted to talk about was Florian Wirtz. Obviously, started on the left. Even though that's probably not his, most favoured position, he'd rather be in the 10. Do you think this is a great way of getting him into the team, getting him confident, getting him, on the level for the Premier League to then start experimenting further?
Yeah, absolutely. Because at the moment, I think Cody Gakpo is the only one really plays on the left, and there's no really any players that are fighting for positions there. So I think with Florian, as we saw last night, it wasn't just he was off the left; he was kind of everywhere. Yes, he started on the left, but you would see him on the right, you would see him in the middle, you'd see him, deeper, and that's the kind of player he is. He needs that. I think thing with Leverkusen, you saw him with a lot of freedom, and again, I've been since I've been happy with Florian. I know he hasn't scored or got bags of assists, but he created more chances alone than Real Madrid's team did last night. Um, and if Salah sometimes passing the ball, like he could have had another one. Yes, Salah got the shot off and Militao blocked it. But if he'd have faked to shoot and then just dropped a little pass to Florian Wirtz, that's another tapping for him. So he could have a handful of goals right now and the amount of assists that he could have got, but the players are not really finishing it. But yeah, it's good to see him put in a solid performance. I think that will do his confidence massive as well because it was a really strong performance from Florian last night.
His work rate is just unreal, isn't it?
Yeah, he's winning. Like you wouldn't think of a flair player, defending the way he does, putting in challenges, winning the ball back. He's not a big player. He's not a big lad. He's not massively, but he puts himself about. He wins challenges. He gets stuck in. And yeah, and his work rate was second to none to Sabozlai. So it's good to see. It's good to see, especially with this big game coming up.
I wanted to ask you about that. Obviously, when there are big games, it feels like it's probably so much easier to get yourself motivated for that. So you're playing Real Madrid, you're going to put your best self forward. You've got City on the weekend. These are things that you don't need to do that much work to get excited about and be like, we've got to be on our top of our game. How much harder is it then going to be after the international break to kind of keep churning through the rest of the results against some of the other teams that maybe on paper aren't as exciting?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's when you're the bigger team and when you're not the underdog and when you're going into majority of the games as you expected to win this. You don't go in there complacent, but you think you're going to go win this. Um, when you've got the likes of Arsenal, your Real Madrid and Man City, you're going, right, this is going to be a tough game. Yeah, we can win it, but yeah, we also can lose it. And you have to take that step up another 5% to match theirs and be solid. And the build up to it is right. We're going to know we're in for a tough battle. Let's prepare the whole week. But if we get a good result at the weekend, then I know the international break's coming up, but that will set up nicely. As in, right, we've had 3 fantastic results, and let's keep that momentum back after the international break.
Looking ahead to Sunday, what do you want to see in terms of lineup? Is that kind of going to be pretty much our favoured 11 going forwards? What are you expecting?
It's like you touched on earlier. They've won 14 out of 15 games. 26 goals just for 2 players. Um, if you can keep them quiet, if you can beat them also, and staying that in mind, we should have won more by than 1 goal. If it wasn't for the heroics of Courtois, it could have been easily 3 or 4. Um, so on that basis, it would be hard. I know we had an home advantage, but it would be hard to look elsewhere than keeping that starting lineup. Because if you've got Florian Wirtz putting in that shift and that work rate as well defensively, that's only a plus. And we know what he can do when he's on the ball, um, to unlock those doors. And Man City are not going to be low blocking at the Etihad. They're going to want to win the game. They're going to be pushing on as well. So there's going to be a lot of pockets, better pockets for the players like Salah, for like Flo, for Gakpo, Ekitike. and in behind, as we see, like also Man City are struggling to keep clean sheets as well. So I hope he plays the same team and not go too defensive.
And he's obviously working his way back to fitness, but Isak, further down the line, do you think he should be being used more of as an impact player to start with? Because Ekitike seems to be doing so much and settling in so well. Is that how we get the best out of both of them?
Uh, I think so. I think as it goes, if the record's not broke, you don't fix it. So if Ekitike is putting in performances and he's scoring goals, and he's earning his right to be the starter, and you've got a man, 125 million, who we know what he can do in the league. We've seen it with Newcastle. Who, yeah, could come off the bench, and when teams are tired and with the gaps and the space opens up, he made them flourish. And then he will earn his right. So it's a nice battle to have. And don't forget, I think Ekitike can also play off the left. We see him many times drift out on the left, cutting on his right foot and shoot. In my eyes, there's not much difference between Cody Gakpo and Ekitike. They both can play down the middle. I think they both, if he had to, well, Cody does play on the left, but I think Ekitike also can drift out on the left. So at some point as well in the season, I like to see Ekitike and Isak start.
I guess when we get to AFCON, we are going to have to rotate that top so much more. So maybe it's all gearing up towards that. And the last thing I wanted to get your thoughts on was obviously Trent's return to Anfield last night. Got a bit of a boo, but could we really expect anything else? What did you make of it?
Look, it's difficult, isn't it? I see both sides of the coin. I see the fans who diehard Liverpool supporters who, they see Liverpool as a family. And if you play for Liverpool, you're successful in Liverpool, why do you want to leave? And then I can see the other flip side of it, as in the fans go, do you know what? Even though we didn't want you to go, but we're thankful for your services. You've been contributed for us to win the Champions League. You've contributed to winning the Premier League, winning so many things that we've won. Thank you for your service. You've been here since you were 6 or 8, and you're due the right to move on and test your career. So, I don't think there's no right or wrong in this situation, but I think there's always going to be some boos from the diehards, and then the ones who appreciate what he's done, give him a little ripple.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, a huge step forwards. Do you think this is, Liverpool refinding their form? I don't want to say we're back, because do you know what? I feel Virgil also made this comment last night. It's not a case of, the talent never went anywhere. The talent was there the whole time. It's just a case of finding form and everything coming together. Do you think that that's happening now?
I think we're seeing the cog work. We're seeing it in motion now. Starting to see a good basis. Like I said, keeping those 2 clean sheets is massive for the confidence, especially the back line. And also we've got players like Alisson coming back. We know how important he is for those clean sheets, those one-on-ones. There's no one better in the world at saving those. And if we're going to be expansive like we are, we need someone at the back who can rescue us at times, and he does that, throughout his career. So that's always going to be positive. But getting back-to-back wins, back-to-back clean sheets is only great for the confidence. But like I said, we've seen players take time to gel. We talk about Arsenal and Saliba. He got shipped out on loan. He was back and he wasn't, one of the starters. And all of a sudden, he got used to it. And now he's probably one of the best up there with the best defenders in the Premier League. So these players have just come into this season. It's going to take a time, but not just one, but a good 5 or 6 players to start gelling with their teammates and everything work as one.
Jermaine, thank you so much as ever. Great to talk to you.
Absolute pleasure, Anna.